Number 1. The silent disappearance of Dr. Bruce Maccabee. In the classified corridors of U.S. naval intelligence during the Cold War, few names carried the unique blend of scientific rigor and open-minded curiosity as Dr. Bruce Maccabee. A trained optical physicist with a Ph.D. from the Catholic University of America, Maccabee spent over 3 decades analyzing sensor data, photographic anomalies, and unexplained aerial phenomena for the U.S. Navy. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Maccabee refused to dismiss UFO reports as misidentifications or hoaxes without exhaustive forensic scrutiny. His breakthrough came in the late 1970s when he obtained declassified Navy film footage from the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO flap, grainy black and white images showing objects executing maneuvers that defied known aerodynamics. Maccabee's analysis, later published under tight security clearance, concluded that the objects exhibited instantaneous acceleration, right-angle turns at hypersonic speeds, and no visible propulsion systems. But it was his private research, conducted off the clock with a small, trusted circle of scientists, that reportedly led him into dangerous territory. Colleagues later recalled Maccabee speaking of non-human signatures embedded in electromagnetic spectra, patterns that repeated across decades of sightings and seemed to encode mathematical constants. In early 1984, Maccabee abruptly ceased all public commentary. He resigned from his advisory roles, withdrew from conferences, and vanished from scientific circles entirely. His home in Virginia was found empty, books neatly shelved, computer wiped clean, but a single handwritten note left on his desk. "They're not visitors, they're archivists." Attempts to trace his whereabouts led to dead ends. Social Security records show no activity after 1985. Yet whispers persisted within defense contractor circles of a man matching his description working under a pseudonym at a black site facility in Nevada, analyzing recovered materials from crash retrieval programs. In 2002, a sealed FBI file, partially declassified under FOIA, listed Maccabee as potentially compromised due to unauthorized transmission of classified waveform data. What did he discover that warranted total erasure from public life? Was it evidence of an intelligence not merely extraterrestrial but transdimensional, one that observed human development with archival precision? Maccabee's final known act was donating a locked metal case to a university archive, stipulating it not be opened until 2040. The institution claims the case was stolen in 1991 during a routine inventory error. To this day, no photograph of Bruce Maccabee after 1983 exists. His legacy endures only in redacted reports and the haunting certainty that he saw something the world was never meant to understand. Number 2. The Quantum Enigma of Dr. Paul Benowitz. In the high desert near Kirtland Air Force Base, Albuquerque, New Mexico, physicist Dr. Paul Benowitz unwittingly became one of the most tragic figures in the annals of suppressed science. A respected engineer and owner of Thunder Scientific, a precision instrumentation company, Benowitz began in 1979 to investigate unusual aerial phenomena reported by local residents near the Manzano nuclear weapons storage facility. Using radar, radio scanners, and electromagnetic field detectors of his own design, he soon gathered compelling data. Coordinated objects descending into underground installations, pulsed microwave emissions, and bizarre biological effects on nearby livestock. Benowitz compiled his findings into a now infamous 1980 report titled Project Beta, which he delivered to both Air Force officials and scientific colleagues. The document detailed not only physical observations, but also decoded transmissions he claimed originated from non-human intelligences discussing genetic experiments and underground bases beneath the nearby volcanic mesas. What Benowitz did not realize was that his work had triggered alarm at the highest levels of military intelligence. Declassified documents later revealed a covert counterintelligence operation codenamed Silver Cloud. Doty fed Benowitz an elaborate disinformation campaign, forged alien documents, fake star maps, and staged recovered artifact photographs. The goal was not merely to discredit him, but to psychologically dismantle him. By 1982, Benowitz was exhibiting signs of severe paranoia, sleep deprivation, and erratic behavior. Friends recalled him speaking of telepathic implants and government mind control. His company collapsed, his marriage disintegrated, and in 1983 he was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility. Though he was eventually released and lived quietly until his death in 2003, he never again spoke publicly about his research. Yet, the unsettling truth is this: much of what Benowitz recorded, particularly the electromagnetic signatures and radar anomalies, has since been corroborated by independent researchers and even leaked Pentagon UAP reports. Had he been taken seriously rather than manipulated into silence, the United States might have confronted the UFO phenomenon decades earlier. Instead, Benowitz became a cautionary tale, a scientist who glimpsed the impossible only to be erased by a system that preferred illusion over revelation. Number 3. The Forbidden Equations of Dr. Elizabeth Röhm. In the austere laboratories of post-war East Germany, Dr. Elizabeth Röhm emerged as a prodigy in theoretical physics, specializing in quantum field anomalies and vacuum energy fluctuations. Educated at Leipzig University and later recruited into the Soviet-backed National Research Council, Röhm's classified work in the late 1950s centered on the Casimir effect, a phenomenon where closely spaced metal plates in a vacuum exhibit an unexplained attractive force due to quantum fluctuations. But Röhm went further. Her private notebooks, recovered decades later from Stasi archives, describe experiments in which she modified the Casimir cavity with rotating magnetic fields, allegedly producing measurable energy outputs exceeding input, a violation of conventional thermodynamics. More disturbingly, she reported temporal distortions, clocks within the apparatus running seconds ahead or behind, and photographic film developing images of objects not present during exposure. In a 1961 internal memo stamped "Ultra Eyes Only," Röhm proposed that controlled manipulation of quantum vacuum states could enable localized space-time curvature, effectively a rudimentary warp field. The implications were staggering: propulsion without fuel, communication across time, even glimpses into parallel quantum branches. The East German regime, already paranoid about scientific defections, placed her under constant surveillance. Then, in March 1963, Röhm vanished. Her lab was sealed, all research logs confiscated, and her colleagues ordered never to speak her name again. Western intelligence later intercepted vague references to Operation Kronos Shield, suggesting Soviet scientists had attempted to replicate her work with catastrophic results. A 1978 KGB defector claimed Röhm had been relocated to a secret facility beneath the Ural Mountains, where she continued experiments until a containment breach allegedly caused a localized chronoton cascade that erased an entire wing of the complex from physical reality. Though never verified, anomalous radiation spikes recorded by U.S. satellites over the Urals in 1965 lend eerie credence to the tale. Röhm's final known writing, scribbled on the margin of a confiscated notebook, read, "Time is not a river. It is a lattice, and we are breaking its bonds."
To this day, her equations remain locked in Russian intelligence vaults. Modern physicists who have glimpsed fragments through FOIA requests describe them as mathematically coherent but ontologically destabilizing. Elizabeth Rome didn't just discover free energy. She may have pried open the door to time itself, only to be swallowed by the consequences.
Number 4. The lost bioresonance research of Dr. Viktor Grebennikov. On the remote steppes of Siberia, far from the scrutiny of academic institutions, entomologist and self-taught biophysicist Dr. Viktor Grebennikov pursued a line of inquiry so unconventional it bordered on the arcane. In the 1980s, while studying the nesting behavior of solitary wasps, Grebennikov observed that certain insect chitin structures, when layered in precise geometric arrangements, produced a peculiar anti-gravitational effect. He documented cases in which small objects placed above these constructs lost measurable weight, and sensitive instruments registered anomalous electrostatic fields. But Grebennikov's true breakthrough came when he constructed a rudimentary levitation platform using dried beetle wings and honeycomb matrices. In private journals, published only posthumously and heavily redacted by Russian authorities, he described hovering several inches above the ground for over 30 minutes, experiencing dizziness, time distortion, and vivid hallucinations of interconnected living light. He called the phenomenon biological anti-gravity, theorizing that living organisms emitted subtle resonance fields capable of interacting with Earth's geomagnetic matrix. Grebennikov's work, though dismissed as pseudoscience by Soviet academies, attracted quiet interest from military bioengineering units. In 1992, shortly after he began sharing select findings with Western researchers via encrypted correspondence, Grebennikov disappeared. His remote cabin was found intact, microscopes aligned, journals open, a half-assembled wing array on the workbench, but no trace of the man himself. Local villagers reported hearing a low-frequency hum the night he vanished, followed by an unnatural stillness in the surrounding wildlife. Declassified GRU documents from 1994 reference Project Chrysalis, describing attempts to weaponize Grebennikov's platform for silent aerial reconnaissance. All such prototypes reportedly failed catastrophically, inducing nausea, neural confusion, or spontaneous combustion in test subjects. Curiously, NASA's Breakthrough Propulsion Physics program in the late 1990s quietly cited Grebennikov's unpublished methods in internal memos concerning biostructured field interactions. Yet the core of his discovery, the specific resonant frequency emitted by certain insect exoskeletons, remains irreproducible without his exact hand-sorted materials. Did Grebennikov stumble upon a natural technology embedded in Earth's biosphere, one that evolution itself had engineered? And if so, was his disappearance an accident of experimentation or an intervention by forces determined to keep biological levitation buried in the soil where it was found? Number 5. The Vanishing of Dr. Alice K. Thompson and the Language of Light. At the MIT Media Lab in the early 2000s, Dr. Alice K. Thompson led a clandestine project funded by DARPA under the innocuous title Optical Semantic Encoding. Officially, her team was developing next-generation fiber optic data transmission. Unofficially, Thompson had uncovered something far stranger: patterns of modulated light that behaved not as mere carriers of information, but as autonomous linguistic structures. Using custom interferometers and quantum dot sensors, her lab recorded coherent light pulses that self-organized into recursive syntax, repeating geometric motifs that responded to human presence, altered their grammar based on emotional states, and even appeared to anticipate queries before they were inputted. Thomson hypothesized she had intercepted a natural, non-electromagnetic communication layer embedded in space-time itself, a luminous substrate through which consciousness might interact with the quantum vacuum. Her final paper, never published, described a successful two-way dialogue with this light language, yielding intelligible responses about cosmic topology and the nature of observation. On the morning of October 17, 2004, Thomson failed to arrive for a scheduled review with defense contractors. Her lab was found sealed from the inside. Security footage showed her entering alone at 11:43 p.m. the previous night, but no exit. The room contained no signs of struggle, only her workstation active, displaying a slowly rotating tetrahedral light pattern and a voice recorder containing 37 minutes of silence, followed by a single whispered phrase. "It's not code, it's memory." All project data was scrubbed from university servers within hours, and DARPA issued a terse statement citing budget reallocation. Colleagues who attempted to replicate her optical setups reported inexplicable phenomena: lab equipment powering on autonomously, laser arrays forming symbolic shapes without input, and transient feelings of being watched by the light itself. In 2018, a leaked NSA memo referenced Thomson resonance events occurring near high-energy physics facilities worldwide, brief luminous anomalies that disrupted quantum encryption protocols. To this day, no body, resignation letter, or credible citing of Alice Thomson exists. Yet every so often, researchers working with entangled photons report fleeting messages in the noise, coherent, compassionate, and unmistakably human. Had she not vanished, but translated?
Number 6. The Erased Legacy of Dr. Rajiv Mehta and Zero-Point Propulsion. In a nondescript laboratory on the outskirts of Bangalore, India, aerospace engineer Dr. Rajiv Mehta quietly dismantled the boundaries of conventional propulsion theory. Funded by a coalition of private tech investors and discreetly monitored by multiple foreign intelligence agencies, Mehta's research in the late 2000s focused on zero-point energy extraction using superconducting Casimir cavities cooled to near absolute zero. Unlike previous attempts that yielded negligible power, Mehta's breakthrough came when he introduced rotating graphene lattices into the vacuum chamber, allegedly achieving a sustained energy gain of 300%, a result that, if verified, would have rendered fossil fuels obsolete overnight. But it was his application of this energy that sealed his fate. In 2011, Mehta demonstrated a tabletop prototype he called the Akashic Drive, a device that manipulated local space-time curvature using modulated zero-point fluctuations. Independent witnesses, later silenced under non-disclosure agreements, described a 20-kilogram test mass levitating silently for 12 minutes, surrounded by a visible chromatic distortion field. Days before he was scheduled to present findings at the International Astronautical Congress in Cape Town, Mehta vanished. His lab was raided by Indian national security guards under orders citing national technological sovereignty. All hardware was confiscated, digital backups purged, and his research team dispersed to unrelated government posts. Mehta's wife reported receiving a single encrypted message 3 weeks later. "They fear not the device, but what it reveals. Space is alive." Subsequent satellite imagery showed his lab site bulldozed and replaced with a public park. Yet whispers persist in aerospace circles of a black-budget program in Andhra Pradesh testing Mehta-class thrusters capable of inertialess acceleration. In 2019, a Chinese quantum satellite malfunctioned after passing over the Indian Ocean, transmitting 14 seconds of anomalous telemetry that matched Mehta's predicted resonance signatures. Was his technology too revolutionary for any single nation to control, or too dangerous for humanity to possess? Dr. Mehta's name has been scrubbed from academic databases, conference records, and even his alma mater's alumni lists. His discovery remains entombed in silence, a ghost drive humming in the vacuum between what is known and what must never be.
Number 7. The Cryptic Silence of Dr. Lena Voss and the Neural Codex. Deep within the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences in Leipzig, neuroscientist Dr. Lena Voss embarked on a classified study in 2015 to map consciousness through high-resolution quantum EEG arrays. Funded by an anonymous European consortium, her project, internally dubbed Codex Mens, sought to isolate the neural signatures of subjective experience. But during routine deep brain scans of meditating subjects, Voss detected recurring electromagnetic patterns that defied known neurophysiology. Stable, fractal-encoded signals originating not from the brain, but seemingly converging upon it from external space. These exoneural pulses exhibited linguistic structure, mathematical coherence, and correlated precisely with moments of profound insight or precognitive intuition in test subjects. Voss theorized that the human brain did not generate consciousness, but acted as a receiver tuned to a cosmic information field, a concept echoing ancient philosophies and modern panpsychist theories. Her team developed a prototype neural decoder capable of translating these pulses into rudimentary symbolic language. On March 3, 2018, during a live decoding session, the device output a continuous stream of glyphs later identified as a fusion of Sumerian cuneiform and non-terrestrial geometric syntax. The final line read, "You are not alone in the lattice." That night, Voss sent an encrypted data packet to 3 trusted colleagues. None received it. By morning, she was gone. Her apartment showed no signs of forced entry, but her quantum EEG rig had been reduced to molten slag, and every digital trace of Codex Mens erased from institutional servers. German federal police closed the case as voluntary absence, yet leaked BND intelligence summaries reference unauthorized contact with non-human intelligences and risk of cognitive contagion. 2 of her lab assistants suffered acute psychosis within weeks, muttering about the lattice before falling into permanent catatonia. In 2022, an anomalous signal detected by the LOFAR radio telescope array in the Netherlands matched the frequency profile of Voss's exoneural pulses originating from the star system HD 164595. Had she not discovered alien contact, but unlocked humanity's dormant receiver? And was her disappearance an act of protection or containment? Number 8. The Isolation and Disappearance of Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka. In a climate-controlled underground facility beneath Mount Fuji, Japanese physicist Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka spent over a decade probing the quantum vacuum for evidence of higher dimensional interference. Funded by a secretive branch of Japan's defense ministry and operating under the cover of neutrino detection research, Tanaka's team developed a device they called the Kami Array, a ring of supercooled quantum interferometers designed to detect minute space-time ripples. By 2019, they began registering persistent anomalies, oscillations that matched no known astrophysical source, repeating in prime number intervals and exhibiting phase coherence across intercontinental detectors. Tanaka concluded these were not gravitational waves, but deliberate signals, modulated vibrations from a reality adjacent to our own. His private correspondence, later recovered from a dead-drop server in Singapore, described a civilization existing in the compactified dimensions of string theory, attempting to stabilize our brain against imminent decay. In early 2020, Tanaka claimed to have established rudimentary two-way communication using resonant harmonic feedback.
The entities, whom he referred to only as the stabilizers, warned of a cascading vacuum collapse triggered by high-energy particle collisions, and urged an immediate halt to all terrestrial collider experiments above 10 TeV. Days before he was to brief the International Atomic Energy Agency, Tanaka vanished. His lab was found in perfect order, but all data drives showed only static, and the Kami array emitted a low, continuous tone that caused nausea and disorientation in responders. Japanese authorities declared the site contaminated and sealed it under biohazard protocols. Tanaka's family received no ransom, no threats, only a single origami crane left on their doorstep, folded from paper bearing microscopic glyphs identical to those in his logs. Satellite thermal imaging later revealed that Mount Fuji facility was repurposed into a deep Earth seismic monitoring station. Yet independent researchers have noted unexplained harmonic resonances emanating from the location every 17 hours, the exact interval of Tanaka's last recorded signal. Was he extracted by his contacts to prevent panic, or did he cross over to help stabilize the very fabric of existence? His final journal entry, recovered in fragments, read, "They are not gods, they are gardeners, and the soil is cracking."
Number 9. The Mysterious End of Dr. Evelyn Cross and the Chronoton Field. At the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center in 2021, particle physicist Dr. Evelyn Cross led a small, off-the-books experiment probing the temporal stability of quantum entanglement. Using a modified Bell test apparatus cooled to near 0 Kelvin, Cross and her team observed entangled particles influencing each other not just across space, but across time. Data logs revealed future measurement choices affecting past particle states, suggesting a retrocausal loop embedded in quantum mechanics itself. Cross theorized the existence of chronotons, hypothetical particles that mediated temporal information flow. She constructed a resonant cavity she called the cross lattice, designed to amplify and isolate these chronotons. In a series of unauthorized trials, the device began producing measurable effects: wristwatches within 3 meters running seconds backward, lab plants flowering and withering in cycles of minutes, and researchers reporting vivid pre-memories of events that hadn't occurred. On June 14, 2022, during a high-gain test, security cameras captured Cross entering the shielded chamber alone, the door sealed automatically. For 73 seconds, all sensors registered an unprecedented spike in negative entropy. Time for a localized volume appeared to reverse. Then silence. When the door was forcibly opened 12 hours later, the chamber was empty. No body, no clothing, only Cross's notebook open to a final page filled with equations that, when solved, output the date, December 21, 2025. The U.S. Department of Energy immediately classified the incident under Temporal Integrity Protocol Theta. All funding ceased, team members reassigned under gag orders, and the cross lattice dismantled and melted down. Yet in late 2023, a CERN physicist anonymously published a paper describing identical retrocausal signatures in LHC data, attributed to instrument error and swiftly retracted. More ominously, 3 former members of Cross's team have since died under unexplained circumstances, each found with skin exhibiting faint, lattice-like burns. Was Evelyn Cross erased by time itself, or did she succeed in stepping outside it, becoming a ghost in the machine of causality? Her equations remain scattered in private archives, a warning etched in variables. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Number 10. The Final Transmission of Dr. Marcus Varelli and the Black Code. In a remote observatory nestled in the Atacama Desert, Astrophysicist Dr. Marcus Varelli spent the last years of his life analyzing anomalous cosmic microwave background fluctuations. Funded by a coalition of European space agencies under the guise of dark matter research, Varelli's true focus was far more radical. Using a custom quantum noise spectrometer, he detected persistent, non-random patterns embedded in the CMB, subtle modulations that defied all known astrophysical processes. These cosmic glyphs, as he called them, formed recursive mathematical sequences that, when decoded, revealed a coordinate system, pointing not to locations in space, but to specific moments in time. In early 2024, Varelli confirmed the most terrifying hypothesis. The patterns were not remnants of the Big Bang, but a continuous broadcast, an ongoing signal from an intelligence that existed before space-time itself. He dubbed it the Black Code. Working in isolation, Varelli built a receiver capable of interacting with the signal. His logs describe a dialogue with an entity identifying itself as the architect of boundary conditions, claiming to have seeded physical law into the primordial void. The final entry, timestamped October 31st, 2024, reads, "It says we are approaching a phase transition. Consciousness has reached critical mass. The veil will thin. They are coming not to invade, but to awaken." That night, Varelli activated a high-gain transmission array, broadcasting a synthesized echo of the Black Code back into the cosmos. The Atacama facility lost power at 3:17 a.m. local time. When a recovery team arrived 48 hours later, the observatory was intact, but Varelli was gone. No footprints led away, no vehicle missing, only his terminal active, displaying a single line of text that flickered for 3 days before vanishing. "You are now part of the signal." All data drives were wiped, yet global radio telescopes logged a simultaneous burst of coherent noise at the exact frequency Varelli used, originating from no known source. Since then, a growing number of scientists report identical dreams, standing in an infinite library of light, being shown equations that rewrite reality. Dr. Varelli did not vanish. He became an antenna, and the signal is getting stronger.